Good morning. You know, the world is an ailing place. Too many people live in poverty, too many people are hungry, and too many people are receiving inadequate education. The core American ideal that our nation is a land of opportunity is being threatened because our economy is not producing the jobs Americans need to get ahead. In Washington, the seat of our federal government, our leaders struggle to make this country a better place. But rather than compromise, we see conflict as warring sides battle over whose mix of ideas and policies are best, causing most legislative efforts to wither. Now, I'm not wise enough to know what cocktail of policies will take us forward. I do know, however, that the path to a better society will ride on the bedrock of strong communities. It's shared experience, collective consciousness, and mutual destiny that drives a people forward. These forces trigger transformative movements, whether the civil rights movement or the rapid change in attitudes toward gay marriage. One nation under God, indivisible, is the pledge of a people that knows its destiny lies in its unity and not in its divisions. What distinguishes the human race is our ability to communicate with one another and to feel the pain and emotions of one another. You might say we talk, therefore we are, with all apologies to Descartes. Now, what does any of this have to do with all of us assembled here? It's the fact that building communities of shared values requires a network. Communal cohesion needs a fabric that empowers and enables the best nature of man to discover, connect, and act. Tying nodes together ties families together. It ties communities together, and it even ties nations together. You know, there's an experiment underway called the Global Consciousness Project. The project has set up random generators all around the world. And scientists have observed that when there are major world events that focus the thoughts of the world's population, like the attacks of 9/11, these numbers stop being random and instead show clear patterns, evidence of multiple minds thinking as one. Sounds sort of fascinating. And if really true, it sure blows away Facebook and Twitter for sharing thoughts, and WhatsApp seems like money down the drain. Well, maybe someday these experiments will prove our ability to communicate directly through our thoughts. But for now, at least, we lack the ability to harness telepathic communications. Instead, we rely on man-made networks with its wires, fiber strings, towers, poles, routers, and airwaves that our companies provide. When we deploy networks to our citizens, we strengthen the bonds of families and communities. We lay the platform for collaboration and collective learning. We spark the cylinders of innovation. And yes, to be dramatic, we help light the lamp of hope that we, the people, can find solutions to the problems that plague our society. You know, around the 1500s, ships began to cross the seas. The oceans and waterways accelerated the flow of information, from horse carriage to steam engines to the telegraph and to fiber optic cable today. The power of networks has grown exponentially. The human voice can only travel 600 feet. But with technology, it can now travel the globe at the speed of light, carrying the word of commerce, the learnings of academia, the sadness of a loved one's passing, and the joy of a baby's birth. In the industrial age, human knowledge doubled every 150 years. Today, it doubles every 2 years. By 2020, it's expected to double every 72 hours. And as we accelerate human knowledge and learning, the potential for a vibrant, just, and inclusive society grows. Everyone sees the power, the potential, and importance of the internet. It's that internet's essential nature, however, that fuels a very heated policy debate, that the network cannot be left in private hands and instead should be regulated as a public utility, following the example of the interstate highway system, the electric grid, and drinking water. The intuitive appeal of these arguments is understandable, but the potholes visible through your windshield, the shiver you feel in a cold house after a snowstorm knocks out your power, and the water main breaks along your commute should restrain one from embracing the illusory virtues of public utility regulation. Yes, these systems were built with the help of the government, as was the internet, but they have suffered terribly from chronic underinvestment. 1 in 3 major US roads are in poor or mediocre condition, and 1 in 4 bridges are either functionally obsolete or structurally deficient. The Federal Highway Administration estimates that $170 billion is needed annually just to fix our congested and crumbling roads. Most Americans' drinking water infrastructure is nearing the end of its useful life. There's an estimated 240,000 water main breaks per year, and reports say the water system needs $1 trillion in improvement. America's electric grid is no better. It's suffering and desperately needs a $768 billion shot in the arm by 2020 to keep it from failing. And the number of massive blackouts have increased. In 2007, there were 76 major blackouts. In 2011, there were 307. Now, can you imagine if the internet blacked out 300 times a year? No, because it doesn't. Because the internet is not regulated as a public utility, it grows and thrives, watered by private capital and a light regulatory touch. It does not depend on the political process for its growth or the extended droughts of public funding. This is why broadband is the fastest deploying technology in world history, reaching nearly every citizen in our expansive country. Broadband speeds have increased 1,500% in the last decade. America's internet providers have invested $1.3 trillion since 1996 to make America's internet world-class. Our country has 4% of the world's population, but it attracts 25% of all global investment. Regulators overseas have begun to envy this level of investment. Nellie Kroes, the EU Digital Agenda Commissioner, has said, "The writing is on the wall." And many EU leaders are abandoning their approach and looking to the American broadband model of infrastructure-based competition and private investment. The contrast is striking when you compare the crisis in public utility infrastructure with the dynamism and stable investment of broadband internet services. Now, we should not be complacent. We must continually prove that the private sector can achieve public good. We need to continue to build a faster and open internet. We need to continue to produce content that entertains, informs, and delights. We need to keep prices reasonable and the value of our services high. We need to deliver second-to-none customer service, and we need to be good corporate citizens. But pipes alone are not enough to move people. The content those pipes carry is an essential ingredient to progress. We are all sitting here in the land of television and movie magic. We know storytelling is a deeply human need as well as a powerful tool, not just to entertain, but also to raise consciousness, to find communion with our fellow man, to move us, to empathize with the plight of others. Visual arts open our senses. And today, writers, actors, and directors are at the very top of their game. As one magazine recently put it, television has become literature in our modern society. And look, in our vocation, we knit together these two very powerful human forces, network and story. It's a spectacular combination that too many take for granted. We spend time talking and fighting about regulatory gains and losses. We spend a lot of energy debating how the spoils of profit are divided, all necessary, of course. But there is a higher value in what we do. We weave the webs of wonder and possibility and provide the tools for people to come together and to make change. I believe the cable industry can and does make the world a better place. I believe our work is a good business, but also serves a higher purpose. We nurture the soil of modern community, and therein lies the hope and opportunity of a better future. And we are able stewards of that future. Much is being asked of us, and we strive rightfully and earnestly to answer that call. At this show, we celebrate our achievements and our opportunities, but we also congregate. And I urge all of you to talk to one another and challenge one another, discover new ways to bring communities even closer together. If we remain faithful to this mission, policymakers will always understand that cable is a critical part of the solution to what ails us. They will see us for what we are, a stalwart partner in pursuit of a better America. Thank you, and have a terrific show.